was college students reacting to President Biden's student loan bailout. The president's announcement yesterday causing the federal government's student aid website to crash due to a high number of visitors. Joining me right now is personal finance expert and finance professor at the University of San Diego. Dan Roccato is here. And Dan, I'd like to get your reaction to the president's plan and also what you see the impact being.
Yeah, good morning to you, Maria. That was a smart group of students you had there. Let's call this a missed opportunity because we really, as a country, we could have done so much more when it comes to fixing instead of forgiving. Forgiveness could have been a part of it, but what we really didn't do, Maria, was go to the root cause of why we have a $1.6 trillion problem when it comes to student loans. We've done nothing to fix that. And as someone a lot smarter than me said yesterday, Larry Summers, he said, this will be inflationary to boot. So we didn't fix the problem, and I suspect we're going to cause additional problems.
Yeah, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget said that it is inflationary, it's costly, it's going to add to the debt, and it's also going to send the price of college tuition up. The cost of college, here's the committee statement. The cost of college is absolutely a huge problem in America, but forgiving $10,000 to $20,000 per person is costly and appears to be more of a political stunt than anything else, close to good policy. It would do nothing to actually make education more affordable. And if anything, this policy will drive up tuition costs. So, Dan, how significant will we see a move on college tuition? How do you expect this plan to impact universities, their endowments?
Yeah, good question. And by the way, good politics it may be, bad economics it certainly is. So, it's hard to say exactly how much tuition will increase, although I saw one estimate this morning somewhere between 0.1%, 0.2% will be the overall increase in the inflation rate. But here's the deal. All colleges aren't the same, right? Many of them are focused on value. I happen to work for one that really spends a lot of time and effort focused on value and outcomes. Good stuff. Unfortunately, however, they're not all there. And we see a lot of times that colleges are essentially churning out students, or worse, enrolling students who never get churned out, Maria. We have 1/3 of student loan holders who don't even have a degree, right? And that really is egregious. But we see some colleges churning out students that in many cases are underemployed, right? So according to a Fed study, we've seen over 20% of recent graduates underemployed. They've got that basket weaving degree that costs a couple $100,000, but they're making lattes. Nothing against basket weavers.
Yeah.
So that really fundamentally is the issue. We have to have more accountability at the college level as well. And this this action by the president doesn't do that.
Yeah. In a minute, I'm going to ask you for tips for borrowers, for those people who still are paying off their student debt. But first, let me bring Dagan in, because, Dagan, you've done so much work on debt deficits and certainly the student loan crises. Over to you.
This kind of follows what the Federal Reserve has been doing, quite frankly, for years, and that's bailing out and propping up wealthy speculators, leverage speculators. And that's still what's going on today. The people suffering the most by policy, fiscal and monetary, are those who are responsible, who work hard, and who don't take unnecessary risk with their money or with their, taking out debt to go to stupid colleges. The power is in the hands of parents and students who will be going into college in future years. I got more text messages yesterday from friends who had paid off their debts, paid off their kids' debts about this very issue, and they are irate. And here's what one of my closest friends said, who was actually on a school board, in a public school board down south. My son and I talk about the assumption of debt and the ability to pay it off with your projected career earnings every single day. I don't get it. The power's in the hands of the individual to starve these garbage colleges and universities of money. This is the biggest lie sold to the American people, that you have to go to a 4-year school in order to succeed in this country, and that somehow the more expensive the college is, the better it is. There are about 20 decent universities in this country that are worth $250,000, and it ends there. If you're paying $50,000 a year to a lot of these schools, you might as well set fire to that money.
Wow. Dan, what do you say?
Well, I agree with a lot of Dagan said. I'm going to text her right now and remind her I just put 4 kids through college, and we're not getting any of this money either. Thank you, Dagan, for that. Listen, the reality is we value education in this country, as we should. Right? Studies have shown that higher education is a net plus for our great country. No doubt about it. As Dagan said, though, we have gone off the rails in many cases where it's turned into this sort of prestige business and not so much about preparing people for productive, useful careers. And that's what we have to get back to, Maria.
Can I add one quick thing?
Real quick before you go. Real quick, just give me. Yeah, go ahead.
We don't value education, actually, because people who are in public school, in elementary and high school, their education is garbage. It's horrible. And then you have to tell people, oh, you need to go $250,000 in debt to then go to college? How about making the education better, elementary to high school, and you wouldn't have to overpay for this? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Dan, real quick, what is your most important tip for people paying off their student loan right now?
Great question. Focus on what you can control. If you owe more than $20,000, make payments if you can afford to, because you'll pay off that balance sooner. Readjust your budget in case this thing starts up again in January, as the president said it would. And if you've got private student loans, Maria, remember, we're only talking about federal loans now, but if you have private loans, now's a good time to refinance them. If you've got decent credit, rates are still pretty good.
Dan, good stuff. Thanks very much for weighing in. We will see you soon. Dan Roccato, and we will be right back. Stay with us.